So in last class, we start to actually talk about the class and the object. Okay. I don't know why my pen is not pointing to the right screen. Let me reset this. Uh, okay, here we go. So we talk about the class and object. Okay, or classes or objects. Okay. So in Java, class can be defined, you know, to represent a group of objects with the same characteristics and the same behaviors. Okay. So for example, if we define a class called a student, then we can define, you know, define the fields for the student. So that means we can define every attribute a student may have. And also we can define the behavior or operations or methods for the student. So that means it the methods basically defines everything that student may behave. Okay, a student may take a class, so then we can define a method called take a class. A student may actually register for class, then we can define a method called register class. Now, so once we define these class called a student, then we can create an individual student. That's also called the object of the class student. So with the class called a student, we can define many individual students. We can define a student object called Brady. We can define a student object called Mary or Johnson. So we can define many different objects for this class. So that's the purpose for the Java class. So last time we discussed in the class about to create a class called a bank account. I hope you still remember. So when you try to actually define a class called a bank account, now the first thing we try to do is we hope that we can identify all the possible fields. Okay, all the possible fields that the bank account may have, right? So I believe that we mentioned that we should have a bank account. For the bank account, we should have a balance. Okay, for each account, we should have a balance. And also, we should have account owner. Okay, and account ID. Okay, so we may actually define uh, many more fields for the bank account, but at least for now, I think these are three fields we should have. And also we define various different methods for the bank account. So one of the method is the deposit, right? Okay, we can define a method called deposit, withdraw, another method called withdraw. Okay, and we also talk about to get a balance. Okay, and another method called, what is it called? Uh, yeah, get a account owner or get account um, ID. So we can define, or we may define more methods But I think these are some primary methods we should have. Now for the deposit, we need to provide the deposit amount, right? So we use double to represent an amount. And for withdrawal, we also need to specify how much we want to withdraw from this account. And for get balance, we don't have to provide anything. Just say get balance of this account, right? And get owner, get a account ID. So now once we identify the class fields and also the class methods or operations, then we can actually, start to code this Java class. Let's actually go to the REPL, the online compiler for Java. Okay, so I just go to the replit.com, and so I create a couple of folders, module 3A. So in module 3A, I can click the plus sign on the top right. I can create a new module. I'm gonna say bank account. Okay. Oh, it's just caps lock bank account. Okay. So I'm gonna create. It's a Java, and the name of this is called bank account, and I create a REPL. Okay. So in a REPL, it just automatically create a Java code called main.java, and there's a main method inside. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I may actually have to change the name of this class, right? Because the, the class name called main, that doesn't make any sense for the program we try to create. We want to create a bank account. So let's actually change this to bank account. Let's say to change this, we can use the Linux like a shell command. So on the right, I can type move. That means I'm gonna move a file to something else, but I can also use the move to change the name. So move main.java. So that's the current. Let's check. List all the names in this folder, and it's a main Java, right? So I can move the main.java to bank account.java. So this way I actually change the name. So now it's a bank account.java, and the name is also a bank account.java. Okay, so that's what I changed. So and then the class name, the file name is changed to bank account, and you have to make sure the class name should have the same name. So bank. So just keep that in mind. In Java, if you want to create a class called bank account, and then we have to, save the file name as a bank account.java. You have to use the same name. Okay. And then, so there's a main method. I don't want to change the main method. So I want to keep the main method. Okay. But I want to define some of the field variables. Okay. I can define some of the field variables. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define double I call the balance. Now, this is always the good idea, as we mentioned in the another actual example called a restaurant, right? Restaurant. In a restaurant, we define, two fields, the field variable, and one is called name of the restaurant. The other one is the rating. If you take a look at the note, or you watch the videos of the last class, we'll find out um, for the field, it's always preferred to find these field variables as a private, so we can make sure that no one else can access them directly. So they can actually change the fields of the class through a method, a public method, right? They cannot directly change the field variables by calling the class object name dot balance or whatever you don't want them to change that directly. So I define a private, and also I define a private. The other variable we talk about is the account owner, right? Okay, so I just say account owner. It's a string. Account owner typically should be a name, so I use string. Um, okay. The other one is defined as an integer called account ID, right? Okay. Now we may change some of the implementation, because like account ID, I define as account ID, but later on we find out the account ID should not be changed by anyone who wants to create the account. So for example, if I want to create an account in the bank, like a Bank of America, or you know, so any other bank, like a Chase, if you want to create an account in the Chase, then you should not specify, oh, what my account ID should be, right? You cannot specify, you cannot assign account ID by yourself. The account ID should somehow be automatically generated by the bank, right? But at this moment, I just say we need a 3 fields variable, right? Balance, account owner, account ID. Okay. Any problems? Now, then we should somehow create some methods to access the uh, account. So one method we discussed was the deposit, right? So we can actually create the deposit as a public method. Okay. Um, let's say deposit. Just put void, and I explain this later. Why the deposit doesn't have to return a variable, right? Deposit is just add a number to the balance. You don't want to change anything, right? Just to change the value of the balance. So should right now I just put a void for the deposit. Okay. Then we say deposit should actually specify the amount. Okay, I call deposit amount. Deposit amount. That's cool. Now, what deposit is supposed to do? When you implement a deposit, what is it supposed to do? Okay. The deposit is gonna take money and add it to your account. Okay. So basically add to your balance, right? So it should be okay. So when you call the deposit, you provide the deposit amount, and then in the implementation of the deposit amount, deposit, you should actually add the deposit amount to the balance. So if the current balance is 100, deposit amount is 50, then it should be 100 plus 50 and assigned to the balance. So the new balance should be the old balance plus the deposit amount, right? So it should be balance equals balance plus deposit. Okay. So that's the deposit. Okay. Now, for the shortcut, you can use this as well. You can say deposit plus equal deposit amount. This is the same as this is exactly the same statement as balance equals balance plus deposit. Okay. Well, next one. Um, public void withdraw. And then you need to specify the withdrawal amount, right? Okay. So what does withdraw do? Also something to do with the balance. So the current balance minus withdraw amount, right? So we can also shortcut with balance minus the withdraw amount. Okay. Balance equals the balance minus the withdraw amount. Okay. Then what else? What else we want to do? Oh, I forgot. I forgot one thing. Um, I believe one of the students mentioned that we want to create some kind of a method called transfer, right? Do you still remember? Right. So we want to transfer. First, we want to transfer the amount. Okay. And also, we need to specify which account we want to transfer to, which is another bank account, right? Another account. Okay. We can do this right here. That's not a problem. So let's see. Okay, let's see what else we want to create. Oh, get balance, get account owner, get ID. Okay, so that's fine. We can do that. So let's say public when you say get, let's say let me say what to say. Get balance. Okay. But when we say get balance, we should actually return balance, right? So we should say return a double value, return balance. And then what are you going to do? Return balance. So whatever the balance is in the account, we just return balance, and then the get balance is going to return a double, which is balance is a double. So we return the balance amount, right? And the same thing with get account. So I just copy. Okay, so the second one is get account number. Oh, account owner. Okay, so the account owner should be account owner should return an account owner. But account owner is a string, right? So we're gonna return a string type. String, return account owner, and also get whatever what is it called, or account ID. Okay, so then should be return account ID, and then that's account ID should be an integer. So let me put the integer here. So these are all the different methods we just talked about. Okay. Now, how can we operate this bank account? We can do this. Okay. So in the main method, okay, I'm gonna eliminate this. Okay. What else I can say? Okay. In the main method, so main method is the only statical method. Okay. So in the main method, we can do this. Okay. Let's say bank account. I try to declare bank account. Okay. Now, so I can create my bank account. Okay. I call it my bank account. Just say my checking account. Okay. My checking account, and then I'm gonna define as a new account, and then I'm gonna say bank account. Okay. So this is also called constructor. So we're gonna talk about a constructor a little bit later. Okay. The constructor basically allows us to create an object of a bank account. Now, what the name of the object? The object name is called my checking account, ACCT. Okay. My checking account. So then once you create my checking account, so my checking account should have its balance, the owner, and also the ID, right? So the first thing we need to do is what am I gonna say? Okay, so can I just say deposit? Okay. Oh, before we do this, we can actually just say once we declare a balance, we should actually create an initialized value, right? So initially, when you create a deposit, we should actually put a default value amount. The balance should be 0, right? We can do this. We can create a balance which is 0. Okay. And the owner, so let's say I call it machine, right? So no. Account ID. Let's leave the account ID for now. So that means every time when we create a new bank account, okay, so my checking account, so the balance should be automatically set to 0, and the account owner should be John Doe, right? That's kind of weird, right? Because I if I create another account, say let's say bank account, so I'm gonna create my savings account. Okay. And then what's the balance? Balance is 0. That's okay. Now what's the account name? So let's say let's type. Okay. Um, let's just print out the information to see what's system dot out dot print ln. So if I want to print my the my checking account, okay, and I want to print out the balance, okay. So can I do this? If I do my checking account dot balance, so it looks like because balance is a field I declared in there, okay. So if I write this, do you think it's going to be okay? Okay, if you don't answer the question, then I'm going to answer that for you. It's not okay. Why it's not okay? Why it's not okay? Okay, before I just display the checking account balance, I actually just try to show the okay um, the account owner. Okay, uh, account owner is another one. Now this is not okay. Now the reason for this is because balance and account owner are defined as a private field, so you cannot directly call it. Now how can I actually get the account? Use the method called get account, right? Okay, so let's say get account owner. Okay, method call, and also get balance. Okay. So okay, so let's just compile it to see what happens. Okay, and also I'm gonna do the same thing for my savings account. Okay, so now it's my savings account. my savings account. Okay. So this is first gonna return the owner, which is supposed to be get the owner, which is gonna return account owner. The account owner was, initialized as John Doe. Okay. So when I actually do Java compiler, Java C. Okay. So bank Java. I execute this. Okay. So the first one, my checkings account. Okay. So let's say to make it clear, I just put my checking account. This. Okay, my checking account. And also I put say my checking account balance. Okay. So should concatenate. Okay. Same thing. My savings account. Savings account balance. So let's just compile again. Okay, you're gonna say my checking account, John Doe. My checking account balance 00. My savings account John Doe balance 00. It sounds real weird, right? So no matter how many actually how many objects I create, the account owner is always John Doe. That doesn't look like right? So when I actually initialize this to John Doe, looks like everyone is called John Doe. So that's not right. So what can we do? Okay. Now we can actually do a couple of things. Okay. One is I can create the method public void. I'm gonna say set. I can say set account owner. Okay. So I should be allowed to change the account owner by create a method called set account owner. And then in the set account owner, I need to provide my owner name, right? Okay. Okay, it's a string type. What are you gonna do? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually change the account owner to the owner name. So the one I provide, right? Okay. So then let's say when I create this balance, my checking account, new balance, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call my checking account. I just say set account owner. And then I set the account owner with my own name. So let's say Brady. Okay, that's, I just changed my checkings account. The owner is actually Brady Chen. Okay. And then my savings account owner, and I can also call Brady Chen. So that's, so both actually account owner, savings account and the checkings account owner are the same. Okay, it's Brady Chen. And then before I actually check out the balance, right now if I just compile it, okay, come on, okay. Now my checking account, Brady Chen, my checking account balance is 000. So then next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some money into my checking account. Okay. So I'm gonna say my checking account, I'm gonna do the deposit. Okay. And then I provide the deposit amount, which is, let's say, okay, I put the $1 million. Okay. Anyway, that's an example. I can put whatever the amount I want. Okay. Okay. So, and I savings account, I can deposit. Okay. So, $2 million. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. To make it like more like a account, so you can actually use the scanner and actually import a scanner and import a value and assign, and then use the import value to call deposit, right? So I can do that. That's okay. So you can use the scanner, but I use the assignment. So now my checking account Brady Chen, and checking account balance 1 million, and the savings account is 2 million. Okay. So I can do this, right? Now, what I can do is, let's say, I can withdraw the money, right? I can withdraw the money. I can withdraw amount, okay, 5,000, okay? And then after I withdraw from my checking account, let's actually print my checking account again, okay? Try to get a new balance. Okay. So let's, okay, I'm gonna call my checking account new balance. And I'm gonna run this. Okay, so my checking account, Brady Chen, my checking account balance, yeah, 1 million. My checking account new balance, okay, after withdraw 50,000, I have $995,000. Okay, after the withdraw. Okay, my savings account is unchanged. So you can actually, now you can manipulate the account by, calling the methods. Okay. Now, you have any questions? Now, there's one problem. Okay. Now, let's say I want to withdraw again from my checking account. Okay. Now I withdraw. I don't know how much money I just withdraw. Okay. Let's say $5 million. Okay. And then I just try to print again. To print a new balance. Okay. What do you think? When I compile it? First, my checking account is Brady Chen. My checking account balance is 1 million. And then after the first withdraw $5,000, it's 995,000. And then my second withdrawal is a bigger one. I withdraw 5 million. Now, what is my balance? So $995,000, that was the balance. And after withdraw 5 million, now my balance is minus 4 million and 5,000. Do you think the bank allows you to withdraw more than the amount you have in your balance? What do you think? No, definitely no. If I'm actually running bank like this, I'm gonna be bankrupted for a long time ago. So looks like we have some kind of bug in our implementation, right? In our implementation, we have a bug. So when you actually implement a withdrawal, you have to set up some kind of condition, right? Now, so I need to change. I need to change my code for the withdrawal. Now, for the deposit, that's okay, right? Okay. Now, for withdrawal, then I need to check if, what are you going to check? If the withdrawal amount is great, it's greater than my balance. Okay. Or equal. Greater or equal than my balance. Okay. What are you going to do? What's my new balance? I should set my new balance to 0, right? So that means you're only allowed to withdraw the amount. So the maximum amount you are allowed to withdraw is your balance. That's all you can do, right? Okay. So if that's the case, the balance is 0. Okay. And otherwise, if the withdrawal amount, if this condition is not true, and then you're allowed to withdraw then you're allowed to deduct from your balance the withdrawal amount. Because if the withdrawal amount is not greater than or equal to balance, that means the withdrawal amount is less than your balance. So that means you're allowed to withdraw the amount of money, right? Otherwise, now also, I think to make this code much better, you can also return a value. I'm going to return a boolean. It's a logical value. So if so, so I'm going to return, say, false. Okay. If the withdrawal amount is greater than or equal to the balance, then you're going to say you can actually even create a system.out.print and say your withdrawal amount is more than your balance. Okay. And then if in this case I'm going to return true, so that means that's a correct withdrawal. Does it make sense? Or sometimes if people put all the amount, you just say withdraw fails, and then you don't have to actually change the balance to 0. You should keep the same balance. Just don't allow people to withdraw any amount. That's also okay. So depend on your policy, right? Whatever the policy you set, if they try to withdraw the amount which is more than the balance, you just decline that withdrawal active operation. So they should still have the same balance. Don't allow them to withdraw any amount. That's okay. Now the other policy you can also set a policy say, okay, if you have actually 1,000 balance in your bank account and you want to withdraw 2, I only gave you 1,000. Okay, so your balance is 0. So you got withdraw amount, which is 1,000. Okay. Now in this case, I use the other approach. I just allow the people to withdraw the total amount in the balance. Okay. And so the new balance is 0. That's okay. So let's see. Let me clean up everything. So Java C and the bank account Java. Let's see. Okay, 13. Oh, I missed the semicolon. That's okay. Oh, let's check. My checking account, Brady Chen. My checking account balance, 1 million. My checking account new balance, 995,000 after the withdrawal of 5,000, right? And then your withdrawal amount is more than your balance amount. So now your checking account, your amount new balance is 0. So that means you want to withdraw $5 million, but you're only allowed to withdraw 995,000. That's the maximum amount you're allowed to withdraw. So your new balance is 0. So my savings account is unchanged. I never changed my savings account, right? So that's the implementation of these bank account. Okay. Okay, let's say, let's just remove this nonsense. Okay, I don't want to withdraw like a 5 million. Okay, so then it's okay. Now the next one we just mentioned about is let's implement a new method called transfer. Okay, so public transfer, that's also void. Okay, I can also actually put the boolean, check whether the transfer is successful or not, because during the transfer, we probably going to experience the same kind of situation. People want to transfer from their savings account to their bank, to their actually checking account. And then they try to transfer the amount, which is more than the balance, right? So then you should reject this. Okay, so I put the boolean here, and I say transfer, okay, now double transfer amount. Okay. Now the second one should be bank account, another account. Okay, there's another bank account. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. Now, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna actually transfer the transfer amount from this account to another account, right? So I still need to check, okay? So the balance or the transfer amount is greater than or equal to the balance, right? I check my current balance. Now, if this is greater than or equal to the balance, then I only allow to transfer the total balance. Okay, so the transfer should be just the balance. So that's the total I changed the uh, I changed the transfer amount from whatever the transfer amount you provide to the balance amount. Because if the transfer amount is greater than or equal to balance, that means you want to transfer more than you have in your bank account. So then I'm gonna do this. So another amount. So that's the other account. Deposit. Okay. Now what's the deposit amount I should put in here? So this is the transfer amount. I want to transfer to another account. So that basically means the another account should deposit the transfer amount, right? Does that make sense? Yes or no? Oh, honestly, I can do this transfer later. Okay. I should have. So I should, in this case, if the transfer amount is greater than or equal to the balance, I'm going to print out, say, system.out. You are only allowed to transfer the balance amount. So you're not allowed to transfer more than transfer the amount you ask for, because you ask for more than your balance, right? Okay. So then I make okay. Now else, so that means if the transfer amount is not greater than or equal to the balance, okay, so that means transfer amount, the comments here, is less than balance. So then that's okay, right? You're allowed to transfer. So they yeah, that's okay. So in that case, I should return okay. Let's say I don't want to return value. I just put a void here. I don't want to return value. So and there's no else, because if it's the transfer amount is less than balance, then you don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to do anything. So I'm gonna actually remove this one, and then I'm gonna do the transfer amount, say another amount, deposit, transfer amount. So should you name the variables in the transfer from and the transfer to for ease of understanding? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great idea. So you means transfer to, like the method called transfer to, is that right, Alex?
I meant like the you have transfer amount, bank account, and then another account. Instead of bank account, you could do the account you're transferring from, and then other account could be the account that you're transferring to.
So let's say account.
Or maybe I'm reading this wrong.
Yeah, you can actually put in here the I'm gonna say transfer to account. So I know what you mean, that so this is the transfer amount, and this is actually the account I want to transfer the amount to, right? Okay. Okay, let's say another account. So that at this moment I know what is this account. This is another account is the account I want to transfer my transfer amount to. Okay. So let's so the another account is this. Okay. Now in terms of variable, you say named variables. Now, here you have to know that when you do the transfer, you're basically only allowed to transfer your amount of money from your account to another account. You're not allowed the other account to transfer your money, right? So the transfer is actually, the transfer method is a one-way method. So you are in this account. So I want to transfer my balance to another account. So I authorize the transferring of money to the other account. But you don't allow the other account to transfer your money. You have to make sure they should have your permission to transfer your money, right? So that's why I put the transfer. I just say transfer. Okay, transfer uh, balance or transfer money. So that's the transfer amount. That's the account I want to transfer to. Okay. Since this account I want to transfer to, so I don't know how to name this bank account. So I could not find any name. I cannot say the account I want to transfer to. That's too long for as a variable name. Okay. Okay. So only if the transfer amount is greater than or equal to the balance, and then your transfer amount is changed to the balance, and you just tell people, say, the transfer amount is only the balance you have. That's all the money you're allowed to transfer, right? And otherwise, if this is not true, that's okay. So you just keep it as it is. You can transfer the full amount. Okay. So then I'm gonna say, when I say I transfer the amount to another account, it's the same as saying the another account dot deposit and deposit the transfer amount. Okay. Now what else I need to do? Is this done? Okay, let's just do this. So let's say in the main method, okay, in the main method, I want to do the transfer now. I'm gonna say my checking account withdraw this, and after this, I'm gonna do the transfer. I want to transfer a certain amount from checking to savings. Okay. So basically what I do is my checking account, okay, dot transfer transfer amount. I put the 20,000. Okay. And the account I want to transfer to, I put my savings account, right? Savings account. Okay. Now let's say I actually put this activity after every all these. Okay. So I want to transfer money from checking to saving. So then I do my checking account dot transfer. That's the amount, and that's my savings account. Okay. So then I gotta check the balance. I want to check the balance for both accounts. Okay. First, my okay. I only print one thing. So my checking account new balance. Okay, my savings account new balance. So that's my savings account. Okay. So I do the transfer. Hopefully everything's all right, but you will find a problem. That's okay. Looks like it's working. Now, let's just check in very carefully. Okay, let me actually do this. Just from the very beginning. So I create my checking account. So initially it's $1 million, and then I withdraw $500. So now my checking account is 995,000. My savings account balance is 2 million. So then I say I want to transfer money from checking to savings. Okay. So then after this, my checking account new balance is now my savings account new balance is 2 million and 20,000. So the savings account has been increased, right, by the amount I want to transfer. But my checking account new balance is still the same, right? That's not right. So if I actually transfer from my checking account to my savings account, so my savings account should be increased, but my checking account should be decreased, right? Should be reduced. Now, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with the implementation? So amount, another account deposit, the transfer amount. You should actually implement another statement. What is this? What is this? You should have changed the balance, right? Your balance should deduct the transfer amount. So my another account, the account you transfer to, the other account should deposit the transfer amount. But once you actually, the other account deposit the transfer amount, now your this account should actually deduct the transfer amount, right? Otherwise, it's not right. So I transfer money to another account, but I don't change my balance. I still have the same balance, but the other account just increase the balance. So this way, the bank is going to lose money, right? The bank actually increase the other amount, but not deduct this amount. Any questions? Now let's try again. Find it. My checking amount new balance is 975,000. So initially it's 995,000, but now it's a 75,000. So that means you deduct $20,000 amount from my checking account and then transfer to my savings account, right? Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to post this bank account code on the Blackboard. So if you actually want to actually study it, and then you can study it. And if you have any question, then you can bring that question to me or in the class. So we can actually, I can answer all these questions. But this is actually the class for the bank account. Now, we're not done yet. So when we actually talk a little bit more about the class feature, then we're going to update this one, because so far we haven't actually touched the account ID yet, because I haven't talked about account ID yet. Okay. And then also, the other thing is, this is not right. We should correct this, because when we create the fields, we initialize all the field with the same balance. The balance is okay. So when you create the account, we put the balance to 0. That's okay, right? When you create, but we should have allow the customer some kind of option. So when you create the account, you can just put the initial amount of dollar to your account. So when you create the account, when you create the object, you should actually set the balance to something else, not necessarily 0. That's one option we want to have. The other one is the account owner. When you create the account, create the object, we should be able to set up the account owner, not just a generic one, say John Doe. Because if we initialize in here, then every account, once they created it, they're always called John Doe. That's not right. So then you have to change the name later by calling the method called set account owner. So then you can change the John Doe to other name. So that's kind of awkward. It's not really nice, right? So we should change that one. So that's something we're going to talk about later when we talk about more about class constructor. So the constructor allows us to set up, create an object, and initialize your personalized field value. Personalized field values. Okay. Any questions?